The eviction notice was still taped to the door, fluttering in the cold morning wind. Inside, all that remained of Sarah's life were a few boxes and the quiet sobs of her 7-year-old son, Leo, who clung to her leg, his small world crumbling around him. She had run out of options, out of time, and out of hope. And as the landlord's representative, a man named Mr. Evans, stood stiffly in the doorway, all she could do was whisper, "Just a few more minutes, please. Let me find his coat. This is the story of a picture, a forgotten promise, and the day a heart hardened by duty learned to see with new eyes." Sarah was a fighter. She had been one ever since Leo was born, his arrival a bright, unexpected joy that also meant she had to be twice as strong. She worked 2 jobs, one as a receptionist at a small dental office during the day, and another stocking shelves at a grocery store at night. Her life was a meticulously balanced scale of rent, groceries, and Leo's school supplies. There was little left over for luxuries, but she made sure their small apartment was filled with love. She'd tell Leo, "As long as we have each other, we have everything." And for a while it was enough, but then the dental office closed. Suddenly one paycheck vanished. Sarah scrambled, applying for dozens of jobs, but the gap in her rent payments grew wider and wider. She'd lie awake at night, listening to Leo's steady breathing from the top bunk, her mind racing with numbers that never added up. She swallowed her pride and went to the landlord's office, speaking to Mr. Evans, a man who seemed to be made of spreadsheets and fine print. "I just need a little more time," she'd pleaded, her voice trembling. "I have a final interview next week. I promise I'll have the full amount." Mr. Evans had adjusted his tie, not unkindly, but with a firm finality. "Miss Miller, promises don't pay the building's mortgage. You have until the end of the month." The end of the month came, and the job offer did not. And so, Mr. Evans found himself on a Tuesday morning, standing in her half-empty living room, the official eviction paperwork in his hand. He focused on the task, on the procedure. He didn't allow himself to look at the child's drawings taped to the wall or the single worn teddy bear sitting on a box. This was business, not personal. "I'm sorry, Miss Miller," he said, his voice even, "but the locks will be changed by noon." It was then that little Leo, hiding behind his mother's legs, looked up at the tall, serious man. His voice was a small, shaky thing. "Mister, where will my goldfish live? He doesn't like the cold." The question was so innocent, so utterly unexpected, that it momentarily pierced Mr. Evans's professional armor. He blinked, looking down at the boy's wide, fearful eyes. Sarah pulled Leo closer, her own eyes glistening with unshed tears. "It's okay, sweetie, we'll figure it out." She turned back to Mr. Evans, her composure cracking. His father was a firefighter. He died 2 years ago, the day before Leo's 5th birthday. He always said he'd take him to the zoo. She let out a shaky breath. I just haven't been able to keep that promise." Something shifted, almost imperceptibly, in Mr. Evans's chest. A flicker of something that felt uncomfortably like guilt. He gave a tight, professional nod. "I'll give you 1 hour to finish packing." And with that, he turned and left, the sound of his footsteps echoing in the barren hallway. Later that afternoon, back in the sterile quiet of his office, Mr. Evans tried to push the morning from his mind. He sorted through the day's mail, his movements brisk and efficient. Then he unfolded the local newspaper, and he froze. There on the second page was a photograph. It was a picture from a ceremony held the previous week, honoring fallen firefighters. He hadn't paid it much mind at the time, but now he saw her, Sarah. She was standing slightly off to the side, her hand on Leo's shoulder. The boy was holding a folded flag, his small face a mask of brave confusion. And next to them in the photo was a larger portrait of a man in a firefighter's uniform, Leo's father. The caption read, "Widow and son of fallen firefighter Captain James Miller receive recognition for his ultimate sacrifice." The air left Mr. Evans's lungs. The woman he had just evicted, the boy worried about his goldfish, her husband had died a hero. He had died saving others, and he, Mr. Evans, had just made his family homeless. The spreadsheet in his mind dissolved, replaced by the image of Leo's fearful eyes and Sarah's quiet, desperate strength. He thought of his own comfortable home, his own secure family. He had followed the rules, but he had completely failed to see the human story behind them. This was the twist, the moment the world tilted. He had seen her picture, and it had shattered his entire perspective. He didn't think, he acted. He grabbed his coat and his keys, his heart pounding with a purpose he hadn't felt in years. He drove not to his next appointment, but to the city's only motel that rented rooms by the week. It didn't take him long to find Sarah's old car, packed to the roof with their belongings, parked outside a room with a flickering light. He knocked softly. When Sarah opened the door, her face was pale with exhaustion and surprise. "Mr. Evans, what is it? Did we leave something?" "No," he said, his voice thick with an emotion he couldn't name. "You didn't leave anything, I did." He took a deep breath. "I came to make things right. There's an empty apartment above my garage. It's small, but it's clean and warm. It's yours for as long as you need it, rent-free." Sarah stared at him, disbelief written on her face. I can't accept that. I can't afford, you don't have to afford it, Mr. Evans said, his voice softening as he looked past her to where Leah was sitting on a bed, watching a small goldfish swim in a glass bowl. It's already paid for. Consider it a thank you for your husband's service and for your son's question about his fish. It reminded me of what's important. Tears, this time of relief and overwhelming grace, streamed down Sarah's face. It wasn't just the offer of a home, it was the restoration of her faith in people. It was the hand she had been waiting for, reaching out when she had least expected it. Weeks later, settled into the cozy apartment, Sarah found a new job. And on a bright Saturday morning, she and Leo stood at the gates of the city zoo, tickets in hand, a gift from an anonymous donor. As Leo watched the elephants, his small hand in hers, he looked up and said, "Mom, do you think Dad can see us?" She squeezed his hand, a peaceful smile on her face. "Yes, sweetheart, I think he can." And from a bench nearby, sipping a coffee, Mr. Evans watched them. He didn't need thanks. Seeing the joy on that little boy's face, the weight lifted from his mother's shoulders, was a greater reward than any rent check could ever be. He had come to evict a tenant, but he had ended up finding his own humanity. Sometimes, the world places a person in our path not for us to judge their circumstances, but to witness their struggle and offer a hand. We never know the silent battles people are fighting, or the heroes they are connected to. A little kindness can't fix everything, but it can be the miracle that helps someone find their way again. Share this story if it reminded you that everyone has a story worth knowing.